Hey everyone, welcome to this 6.5 Insider Edition. Daniel Newman here from the 6.5, founder, principal analyst, Futurum Research, joined by Julia White, SAP's Chief Marketing Officer, Head of Marketing, so many titles, leading so many things. Someone I had a chance to spend a little time with last week in Florida at SAP Sapphire. Julia, how are you?
I am great. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you were able to make it. I would have
Mhm.
loved to have done this live, but the great thing about last week was I had the chance to come hear from you live, sit down, get the Q&A going, got a little face-to-face time with Christian. He looked incredibly refreshed and he looked so young and just like sharp. Man,
Yep.
what a great conversation that was as well. I know we don't have a ton of time. This is what we like to call kind of a quick insider,
Yep.
but um, in the 10 minutes I had with you, one thing that you mentioned at the Q&A that you did, the fireside chat, was you kind of talked about being here a year.
Mhm.
And so the first question that came to my mind is, wow, 1 year over.
Right.
Um, what are your observations? What are you seeing? How's that gone for you?
Yeah. Well, it's been awesome in a word, if I had to pick. And, I before I joined SAP, I certainly had my perception and understanding of the company and so much potential. And joining it, that's what I experienced too. Like we do such incredibly important work across a vast set of areas. And I'm always like, if people just understood the amazing things we do, they would be really impressed on that front. So it's, marketing and solutions officer, that's my opportunity and my challenge. But it's been a lot of fun and a lot of hard work. But nothing comes easy.
Well, I mean, it was probably a little different culture, where you came from to where you are. Both exciting growth companies, right? And of course, spending that time with you guys, there were some really consistent themes.
Mhm.
And one of the themes that came up a number of times was sustainability. And I
Yeah.
want to, I don't want to just get your take on sustainability because hopefully, if you're paying attention, everybody cares about this topic. But one of the things as an analyst, and the reason we've even started to practice focusing on sustainability, Julia, is
Mhm.
that I feel there's a lot of talk, a lot of posturing, a lot of positioning, and a lot of promising. There's a lot of
Mhm.
P's, right? I should just come up with something that deserves a blog post. But what I'm not necessarily seeing enough of is tech companies sharing how practically their customers can execute. And so I felt like that was a big part of the conversation last week. How are you guys sort of helping companies get actionable with
Yeah.
their sustainability?
Right. I mean, I'll even go back to, one of the reasons I joined SAP was it's so purpose driven. And it has, I love our purpose around help the world run better, improve people's lives. And I would say the improve people's lives is so grounded on what we do around sustainability. And I think if you asked myself or any of my peers on the executive board at SAP, we would talk about our ability to change the game around sustainability as maybe our most important work that the company's ever done. And we've done important work. So I do think it's a real opportunity for us. And as you said, every vendor is talking about sustainability. In my old life on Azure, we were talking about how Azure data centers were more sustainable than running your own, right? Everyone has an angle on it. But I think the unique and awesome position that SAP has is as the business process company, right? As the company that understands how products get designed, manufactured through the supply chain into operations, we have the ability at every one of those points to make it more sustainable. So I think about all the different parts of technology, from infrastructure to the most broad kind of productivity side of things. We have this really amazing opportunity to really have a very meaningful shift. And I love, Christian, who is young and very bright and very impressive, as you said. He, talks about you can't manage what you can't measure. And I think there's just such simple clarity in that. And sustainability has to be there, right? It's at some level, sustainability is a data problem, right? We don't have the transparency of the data. We don't know where it is. We don't have to manage it. That is a place where we can really provide insights across the business process to do that. And simple things, but really powerful of, how we help companies measure the top line and bottom line. Why can't we help them with what we talked about, the green line, having that measurement from the beginning of by the time you start designing a product, you're going to choose more sustainable sources from the design, not like after the fact, and all the way through the supply chain. Are you choosing suppliers that are, ensuring there's no human rights violations in how they're collecting, raw materials, as an example? All of those steps, having insight and the ability to choose have the data, and then manage it accordingly is where I think we're seeing where we're focused and where we're already making traction. And we still have a lot more to do, right? We're not done. And it's more than SAP, but it's certainly us working together with our ecosystem.
And I also think it's a problem that you are uniquely positioned to solve. And I think that's maybe humble roots. I know my co-host partner in crime here, Patrick Moorhead, always likes to say, "Don't be apologetic, SAP. Like, don't be apologetic for where you are in your cloud journey. You guys you're doing well. You're moving quickly. And by the way, you have massive enterprises that are running on SAP, and
Mm-hmm.
the migration, and the value of that migration is not maybe fully determined yet, as they're still trying to run their business, meaning they're trying to migrate, they're trying to move, but they're also trying to continue to run their company, which is what you are so uniquely positioned. So you mentioned things like sustainability. Look, companies that are both sustainable but meeting their digital objectives concurrently, and I've read research about this, are going to see acceleration faster, both of their business, of the customer experience, and then of course of their sustainable goals, Julia. And
Right.
I think a lot about that because you guys have such a amazing set of data, and you have such
Mm-hmm.
industry domain knowledge that goes so much deeper than
Yep.
most companies, which should put you in a great position to
Yeah.
actually solve these sustainability challenges. So I just want to kind of come back to one thing, because I guess I want to kind of finish up. I want to take two topics
Yeah.
that and they kind of tie into the cloud topic too, but sustainability and supply chain. So
Mm.
I was sitting there listening to the technology leadership of your organization. I listened to Christian, I listened, and one of the things I said is, with all the data you have, you guys must have an amazing ability to help companies better understand every part of their supply chain, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to do everything from, like you said, procuring more sustainable goods, to
Yep.
meeting demand challenges, because you improve the complexity, and then to help companies take all that data, use data pipelines, machine learning, and AI to actually improve how they spiral up and create better processes going forward.
Right.
This to me is what I kind of look at as always on innovation. How do you
Mm.
build a culture that can run as an always on? I know run SAP is has been a lot, but how do you run always on innovation in SAP?
Right. Well, combination of two things, like you said, I was going to reiterate, yeah, from the whole, we call it about end-to-end business processes, right? Kind of that's where SAP and a sweet spot is. And we have a very unique position in the world. And I think, as you point out, a responsibility because of that to help around sustainability, but all the way through the whole supply chain. So across all the categories we're in, right? From the core ERP and finance to supply chain to HR and customer experience, essentially there's if you look at any one day, there's something new coming from SAP. And that, honestly, it's a benefit of, cloud delivery. You don't have to wait for the next upgrade. You're kind of constantly getting new capabilities. And we release a ton of new, whether it's sustainability or industry cloud solutions. So very specific industry business processes that are an always on rhythm, or the business network, continuing to see new capabilities come there, or even new partnerships. I love the one we're doing with EcoVadis, so that we can actually have kind of due diligence on supply chain with that badge. It says how sustainable are your supply chain partners, right? So not just even SAP's direct capabilities coming out, but our ecosystem, and making it easier and easier for them to innovate with us as well. But because our surface area is so broad, there is every single day something coming to market from SAP in that always on capability. But again, not in big monolithic chunks, but just bite size, right? And again, that's just part of being cloud delivery, but also a reality of just the incredible surface area we have as a technology provider.
And just to kind of wrap here, but as a portfolio and not necessarily just an ERP company, which is something I kind of feel the need I have to reiterate, because oftentimes you say SAP and people go, "Oh, the ERP." It's like, well, they have a very big portfolio, but yes, they do ERP as well, but Rise. So
Yes.
some of the innovation is in product, and some of the innovation is how you enable
Mm-hmm.
the customers and enterprises to leverage the innovation. And that's one thing I'd love to kind of wrap up on, because I felt like Rise really kind of, rise and shine. It rose and shone this year at Sapphire.
Yep.
How important is that to really getting your customers to come along on your innovation journey?
No, I'm so glad that you picked up on that, and I feel others at Sapphire as well, because the magic of Rise is helping customers actually realize the outcomes of the digital transformation that they want, right? And you've seen the stats of how many people are disappointed with their digital transformation and blah blah blah. Like, this is our very best foot forward to say, when you're going to take that big step to truly digitally transform, we're here to make sure you get the outcomes you want. And that's the promise of it, right? And that's why when we talk about Rise, we even start with business process transformation. It's not about move to the cloud, blah, blah. Sure, that's a necessary step, but it's really about using the technology we have to actually understand today's business processes, benchmark them across 40,000 organizations. Like, how fast is your invoicing? How fast is your supply chain choices? How fast is your procurement? Do you have 10 extra steps you don't need? Fixing that. And amazing customer stories around, I dropped in your business process understanding and like such amazing insights and fixed problems so quickly that I couldn't see before. That's the big impact. And then continuing to run it with the cloud, with us wrapping around and managing it so that things like security and reliability and all those are best in class. And then you're able to take the new innovations as we release them. Like that's when we can bring our best foot forward and help customers get the digital transformation in a way that lives up to their expectations and isn't disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you hit a lot here. And again, in these short insiders, I could always go another 10, 20 minutes, but part of the quick hit is being prompt. It was a great time, Julia, coming out to Orlando. Like I said, it was great to have a chance to get face to face with you, talking to your leadership team, hearing from everyone, and really kind of, like I said, I love that it wasn't so product centric, but it really was solution centric. There were products
Right.
across the gambit, but realistically, it all tied back to the fact that companies are really fighting to innovate in a new economy, a shifting economy that's going to look very different over the next few years. And it's going to be technology and its deflationary value that's going to really get us through what are going to be a different set of times than we had during COVID times. But nevertheless, digital, cloud, ERP, all these solutions that you guys are rolling out are so critical to every business. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been great to have you here on the 6-5,
Time
and
flies. It does.
love to have you back soon.
Yeah, so great chatting with you. And I agree, that's such an important area. And I feel privileged to be working, in this area of the technology stack because it has such impact. But great to talk with you, and I look forward to doing it again.
Let's do it soon.